Докторе, сега няма ли да ме прегледате?
Съжалявам, не мога да си цапам инструмента, моля ви се
Да си цапате инструментите! Доктор Василев, аз също чакам...
Абе, чукате се наляво надясно, след това идвате ми се мъкнете тук. Айде! Разгащена работа! Кой се чука? Вие се чукате!
А вие не се ли чукате? Какво? Като сте доктори, какво ви става? Нищо не ви става!
Пускай кабинета! Пускай кабинета!
It tries to encapsulate a piece of Bulgaria which is colorful and funny and absurd, and to present the audience with the current state of affairs in Bulgaria, which is not always bleak. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's absurdist, and there is a certain hangover from communism which we follow like a threat in all our films. But basically it aims to empower women of several generations and to give them a voice of expression.
It became with a kind of provocation coming from my sister. She'll be presenting the film together with my niece. We are the whole family in the film, as you can see, and your audience will see. And it started from her being a mother. So it's like kind of dissection of what is to be a woman, how you exist in a normal life. It's not like, it's not very extraordinary. So it's about the female point of view of what is happening.
State of affairs.
It's very like complex thing with a lot of women's characters that we wanted to follow, but not only to follow them, but just to put them together to see how they exist.
The title "Women Do Cry."
This is very good question. It came from a friend of ours who is a transgender, and he told us that during the therapy, changing her sex from female to male, that the emotions, they stop here and you can't cry anymore. So it seems there's something which is different in our maybe chromosomes, I don't know what is this, but it's physical thing that the women do cry and men hardly.
Have certain difficulties.
Какво? Курва ли съм, а?
Момиче!
Плюс това хип не се предава.
Ами излез, кажи го на всички! Кажи го на всички, че си с хип! Излез, кажи го!
Леле, мой!
Айде, кажи го на всички!
Как го хайде да си ходим? Няма да ме прегледате. Държа! Няма да се стиска. Аз държа да ме прегледате, защото това... Аз не искам да ме прегледате. Тя има право да всички останали пациенти. Чувате ли да си ходим? Той не е за тази професия.
It's a metaphor of fragility of the mothers. And probably for you too, but in our culture, the stork is associated with bringing babies and being a mother. And this wounded animal, which was actually a real case, which we implemented in the film, was a perfect metaphor to show, without showing violence, the state of the fragility of women. Because we are actually very anti-violence in our filmmaking, which is harder for us, but you have to somehow nail it.
And we also don't watch films with violence. We can't watch them.
Try not to.
Regarding the animals and the cats, we think, first of all, our sisters, all of the sisters, we have cats, and they are our cats in real life. And the two kittens are actors. So the little kittens were not there. They are not.
But the cat represents also the feminine side of the human being, we think.
Also, as the cat and animal is more independent than the dog. So we think we have to all of us to achieve some independence. Freedom of expression, everything.
Вие каква сте? Каква сте вие? Не съм прегледал и няма да прегледам. Вие кажете каква сте.
Аз съм колега.
Колега?
Да.
Ами като сте колега да ви дам да прегледате вие тогава.
Not really. Most of our films are based on true events of what we experienced, because we feel we should only engage the world with something we know. Otherwise, it may seem immature or not deep enough. So in this case, we were always very careful to not depict the reality as it is. So there is always quite visible structure, even though our storyline seems a little bit chaotic. This is also on purpose. We like to have this messy feeling of amalgam of bodies and this overlapping of events and things. That's how we like to work in most of our films.
Yes, and it doesn't follow one thing. It's kind of mainly like emotional memories that we implemented in a dramaturgical structure of a film. So yes, so it's not biographical.
Political, definitely. We think most work should be political because or have a notion of political element in it, because we live in times when one has to care about these things, and we do, definitely.
It could be more activist, but we only use the political context like a background of the story, not to emphasize so much, but at least to have awareness why we should be careful about these things and not to allow this to happen. In our countries, in East European countries, after communism, there were certain years of chaos with a lot of uncertainties on business, on politics, social, cultural problems. And also kind of renew religious
brand new religious tendencies, which we historically haven't experienced in our neck of the woods, as they say.
And yes, and when we talk about moral in the family, moral in life, this thing with Istanbul Convention, which is against the domestic violence and the violence on gender-based violence, in Bulgaria went so extreme that even it was a public debate. So we kind of touch these things in the film just to show the reality, what was happening the last 2 years in our country.
I can definitely help break the exactly the prejudices and the preconceptions, which in this case is very strong preconception, and this is what Bulgaria is reacting on already. We have our premiere on 15th of September, so we'll see.
And definitely we're very curious about the reception in Brussels, because we pitched our project as a project, Women Do Cry, in Brussels for first time. And we remember that many people cried in the hall because we were talking about
it was very interesting pitch, actually. Very emotionally bonding in the whole room. We were really got together.
And in that moment in Brussels, we realized that the subject resonates.
And for me, Brussels is the place where I studied for 1 year in Lacombe. And I would have continued to study, but various obstacles happened to me connected to visas, East Europeans, and then I moved to London. But Brussels is very special for me.
Especially very special for two of us. And that's why we chose also the actresses to go there in Brussels to see how wonderful it is, although it's cold. Now it's cold for you.
I mean, хайде да си ходим вече! Защо казваш, че си скиф? Защото той не си сложи ръкавици! Няма да казваш на никой, чуваш ли ме? Не кажа на всички! На никой няма да казваш. Ти имаш право да не казваш.